There are 4 things that we can never recover in our life.
Do you know something? In the game of life, you're playing a cricket match against an entity called the mind.
When you sweat a lot in times of peace, you bleed less in times of war.
Want a soar? Get a mentor. Hey, it's Evan Carmichael, and this channel was created to help you overcome the #1 challenge that is holding you back, a lack of belief in yourself. You watch these videos because you know there's something more inside you. You've got Michael Jordan level talent at something. So today let's learn from one of the best, Gaur Gopal Das, and some of his best life-changing advice. Mentor me, Gaur. Okay, let's kick it off with rule number 1. Don't give in.
Do you know something? In the game of life, you're playing a cricket match against an entity called the mind. No one on planet Earth can stop you from accomplishing and achieving what you want if you can bat against the googlies that the mind bowls at you. How many of you have experienced that the mind bowls googlies? Good. When it comes to exercising and jogging, how many of you know that the mind bowls googlies? Majja. Soja. How many of you have trouble in studying? Raise your hands as students. My God. And you come here, you hear all of these things. Don't get distracted by WhatsApp. Don't get distracted by internet pornography. Don't get distracted by Twitter. Don't get distracted by Facebook. Study. Don't get distracted by birds to do bird watching. Study. All these distractions. इधर आके कुछ उपदेश देते हैं कुछ लोग साधु लोग आपको. उस पे बाद भी फेल होता है. So one father was telling his son, देख तेरे क्लास में वो लूसी है ना, लूसी देख फर्स्ट आई है वो, और तू नालायक फेल हो गया. वो बोला देख के ही फेल हो गया मैं उसको. देख के ही तो फेल हुआ मैं उसको. I'll tell you something. My God. Why? Because the mind doesn't want you to win the game of life. How many of you wanted to wake up early in the morning? Raise your hands. Only wanted, I asked. Wanted to wake up early in the morning. And how many of you have done something called as setting an alarm clock? And then after setting the alarm clock, that's an alarm. Whether you want it or not, it rings. And when it rings, the mind puts its first googly. What does the mind do? By putting the googly, makes you clean bowled when you do the first snooze. You are out. You are out. If you snooze, you are out. I want to say one thing. Just one. And probably this will change the direction of your life. You know something? When you snooze the alarm, what happens? You decide to give in to the mind's ball. And this is how your morning begins. By giving in to the mind. सवेरे की शुरुआत होती है इस बॉलर से क्लीन बोल्ड होके. आगे क्या मैच जीतेंगे? ये तो दिन की शुरुआत है. By giving in. And it's no problem giving in. Sleeping 5 minutes extra is no problem. The problem is you develop the attitude of giving in. You tell yourself that what I decided last night is not as important. What is important is what the mind says. Because we listen. I'll tell you something, my humble advice. Because it's not just about getting up in the morning, it's about every aspect of life. Whether it's your work, if you're working, whether it's your study, if you're studying, whatever we do. The problem is, it's not about one thing. सवेरे हो गया ना, it reflects in every area of life. इसलिए मैं कहता हूँ, अगर 4 बजे नहीं उठना, मालूम है ना अपने से नहीं होता, 4:20 का अलार्म लगाओ, लेकिन 4:20 को उठो. Don't allow that snooze.
Rule number 2, utilize your time well.
There are 4 things that we can never recover in our life. A stone, after it has been thrown into the valley. Words, after they have been spoken. An opportunity, once it is missed. And time, once it has gone. Considering the average lifespan of a human being today to be about 70 years, 70 multiplied by 12 is 840. Now that's how many months we have in our life to live in this world. And if life is represented by a jar and those 840 months by the marbles in the jar, every year 12 marbles are being thrown out of the jar. Last year 12 marbles have gone as well. Gone forever, never to come back again. Look at how many marbles you now have in the jar to make a difference, to leave a mark, to stand apart. Utilize your time well, and your time will treat you well, leading you into an overall sense of well-being. In the new year to come, invest in taking care of your body. Invest in nurturing and nourishing your relationships. Invest in finding and discovering your purpose, your passion, your calling in order to enhance your professional growth. Invest in pursuing and cultivating a meaningful, deep spiritual connect. And for some reason, if you found yourself stuck in any of these, some of these, or all of these areas in the last year, the new year brings a fresh opportunity to press the refresh button, refresh the page of your life, and live well. Because at the end of the day, remember, we are all just stories. And make sure that yours is an inspiring one.
Also, if you want to have more confidence, check out my 254 series. They're free. The links to join are in the description below.
No one on planet Earth can stop you from accomplishing and achieving what you want.
It's easy to make a buck, very hard to make a difference. And whenever you're updating to a higher version of yourself, you have to be able to give the best of yourself to it.
Rule number 3, live in the now.
I think when we talk about being in the present, we don't have to start getting into the present when the pressure is high. We need to start practicing being in the present when the pressure is low. There's a very nice quote that I read once in one of the barracks of the Indian Army, which said, when you sweat a lot in times of peace, you bleed less in times of war.
Right.
IPL, for instance, cricket.
Yes.
Now, when the match is on, the world tournament's on, the competition stops, you're right there under the spot, which means the pressure is high and you need to be focused, you need to be present. You can only do it effectively when you learn to be present in the smaller things of life. I often tell people that when we talk about being present, one thing that we should start practicing is start being physically present. Like I give the example, I have a glass of juice here, when I'm sipping this mango juice, why do I need to watch television? Why do I have to keep checking messages on my phone? What I'm doing by looking at the television and by looking at the phone is being distracted from drinking the juice. So if I'm drinking the juice, let me just drink the juice. What's happening is I'm being present, physically present. Now it's not so much about just drinking the juice, but about cultivating the attitude behind drinking the juice, of being present in what I'm doing. I also tell people, beyond being physically present, we need to also be emotionally present. Very often you see people today are talking to each other, chatting with each other, they're looking around here and there, they're scrolling on their phones, they're looking at their messages, they're sending WhatsApp messages. What they're doing is they're completely getting distracted and not learning to live in the now. Being emotionally present means when I'm talking to you, for instance, I am with you. I'm not looking at this plant behind me. I'm not looking at the camera here. I'm not looking at the cup of juice. I'm looking at you. I'm soaking in every single word as you speak, no, it's not just about speaking. It's about cultivating the attitude of being present.
Rule number 4, get out of your comfort zone.
We are all created to fly, to live by the incredible potential that we have all been invested with. But often we sit on our branches, clinging to the things that are familiar to us, remaining stuck in our comfort zones, not willing to venture out, not willing to take risks. The possibilities are endless, but for most of us, they remain undiscovered because we continue to conform to the familiar, to the comfortable, to the mundane. So for the most part, our lives are mediocre instead of exciting, thrilling, and fulfilling. What is the branch that's holding you back from flying high? What's the fear that's stopping you from taking a risk? What is the weakness that's inhibiting your growth? Unless we cut off the branches we are clinging to and free ourselves, we can never take off and reach newer heights in our life. What are you waiting for? Cut the branch and take your flight.
And rule number 5, the last one before a very special bonus clip, is break the mold.
When you're wanting to do something out of the box, there's always going to be opposition from a society where parents want you to subscribe to a certain things, a settled job, a settled life in terms of family, and you're thinking completely out of the box. As soon as you want to do something out of the box, you're going to have to face challenges from the family side. After a while, however, when my family saw where I was reaching, how I was impacting people's lives, how I was really able to make a difference in the world, they accepted it very well. And I feel in terms of coping up with the challenges of how my friends have moved on in the industry, I think it's a question of self-discovery. I hate being a part of a mold that the world created for me. I don't want to subscribe to the mold that the world creates for you. I don't want to live a life in a paradigm that the world has created for me. I want to discover my own mold. I want to have a paradigm that I have invented. You know, only when you discover yourself, only when you live a life for what you are created, is when you feel happy, satisfied. Not just happy and satisfied, you're super effective. Even in the corporate world today, loads of people are just living a life which they're not created for because it pays the bucks. And why do they need the bucks? To pay the taxes, to pay the bills, to pay the mortgages. But they're not living a life of what they are created for. So it's basically kind of, fitting in just because it pays you. But I decided I don't want to fit in. So when I saw others moving on, my friends, my colleagues moving on high up, I really did not feel insecure at all because I didn't want to fit in, to be someone else. I wanted to find myself, discover myself. Because as soon as you are successful in your self-discovery, man, you're effective and completely satisfied.
Now I have a special bonus clip from Gaur on how to be the best version of yourself that I think you're going to enjoy. But before that, it's time for the 3-point landing questions. Let's go from just watching a video to taking action. Here we go. Question number 1. What can you do to get out of your comfort zone this week? Number 2, where can you better utilize your time? And number 3, how can you live in the now right after watching this video? And if you promise to take action after watching this video, we don't just watch videos, we do something about it. Give me a hashtag believe down in the comments, make that promise to yourself, and then get to work.
When I talk about self-confidence, I talk about trying to be the best version of yourself. We are constantly updating our apps. We're constantly updating our operating systems, whether it's an iOS or an Android.
Yeah.
And the updation of the apps or the operating systems means to bring the best versions of what exist.
Yes.
And whenever you're updating to a higher version of yourself, you have to be able to give the best of yourself to it. If you stick to the older version, you reach the plateau and you don't have to work harder. But when you update yourself to a higher version, you have to give the best of yourself and 200% of your energy there.
Yeah.
Hard work, coming out of the comfort zone. Which is why many times I say, you are your own competition actually.
That's true.
Nobody is your competition.
That's true.
We have to compete with ourselves every single moment, every single day to get better than ourselves, to get the better versions of ourselves, to get the best version of ourselves. So when I talk about self-confidence, I talk about being the best version of yourself and having that full confidence that I can crack it. I can get there.
If you want another amazing video highlighting excellence in the Indian community, check it out right there next to me. I think you'll enjoy it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.